Hi, welcome to the Boca Voice, and we're in a special edition with Kevin Ross from Lynn University. Kevin, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
So you guys are getting honored in a couple different ways this week, and I'm so proud to be part of it.
Well, thanks. We're thrilled too. It's a busy time for us this time of year, but we just came out of a big strategic plan, Lynn 2020, and it was a 15-year plan that we completed in 13 years because we don't like to get too tight up there on the timelines. We like to beat the goals that we put out there for ourselves. So
You're such underachievers.
it's a team effort, and sometimes we have to slow folks down at the university because we do move pretty quickly. But that's really what we're all about, looking to the future, being an innovative institution, trying to create value, and looking around the corner to see what's coming next. So this plan was huge. It was, about 12 years, 13 years it took us, raised $100 million for capital and scholarships, built a number of buildings and facilities, hired faculty, created new programs. So it was a real moment for the university. We got a lot of recognition for it.
So tell us about the walk in recognition that the university is getting recognized for tonight.
We're thrilled about that as well. It's really for the entire university, for our growing up here with Boca Raton over the last 55 years. And I think a lot of the names that you see gracing our buildings and on our boards at the university are folks who have been here for such a long time, have built this city as well. So I like to say that Boca Raton and Lynn University have grown up together, siblings in some way, where we used to be out in this western outpost. We're now dead in the center of Midtown. So it's exciting for us to be recognized, and we're very honored.
That's awesome. And then tomorrow morning at the chamber, Lynn also is recognized.
We are. That's our annual. We usually take that November slot for the chamber just to fill people in on what's going on. And we're going to take a moment to celebrate also all the things that were accomplished under Lynn 2020 and then give a sneak peek of what's next. Because we are a campus of doers and a place that doesn't rest very easily. So we're ready for the next phase of our evolution.
So tell us a little bit about your tenure with Lynn University.
Started a long time ago. I grew up there. Really, my father was president for 35 years. So
35 years.
He was there for a good long time, and he and my mother and key people on campus, some of whom are still there, really built the institution, took it from when it was Marymount College, and he came down simply to buy the library books to take to another school he had begun, and realized the place was actually in serious financial peril, and they were selling off all their assets. He was going to take those books and go back up to Delaware, where he had started a school, and he saw the place, met the people, and that was November 1st, what we celebrate as our Founders Day every year. And it was really a remarkable tenure, a 35-year tenure of building this place from scratch in some ways. So I feel very blessed, and many others on campus, to really run with the baton that they gave us, and we're running quickly with it. So I've had a long experience with the university, got away for a while from school and in schooling, as well as my career in education. Kind of wanted to do it my own way. Didn't totally want to follow my dad's footsteps. I think there's a lot of kids out there who do that, but then end up coming back to the family business, if you will, in some ways. And we've always been a not-for-profit, but I've always known and felt very comfortable on college campuses. Some people go to churches or mosques or things like that or temples when they're traveling, and I'm always drawn to a college campus of some sort. That's where I like to play.
Let's talk about that for a minute. You actually do something a little bit different than on college campuses, but could be seen on college campuses. You have a band.
I do. I'm in a band with a couple guys from the university and some friends from outside the university, and we lost a bet about 4 years ago. We have something called the Celebration of the Arts, a big event on campus in April. It's amazing. And the dean of our academic dean at the time came to me and said, I hear you like to sing. And I told him I don't sing, but in the shower, in the car by myself. And he said, well, what if we could get you up there with some other folks to sing? And I said, well, maybe. And it turned into this thing, which is now this band that's 4 years going, and we've got way more merch than talent. But it's a lot of fun, and students put up with it every once in a while. Faculty and staff seem to like it because we play a little bit more of their genre of music.
I happen to watch you at Meet over for John Tolbert, who I know is a good dear friend of yours. He was
kind to have us there, yes.
And I got to tell you, even though the building itself wasn't conducive of having great acoustics, you guys were incredible.
Well,
I was
thanks.
very impressed.
Appreciate that. That's good to hear. We got another fan. That's great. Like us on Facebook, man. We need that.
I will, absolutely. So, tell me next steps. What's next in Lynn's future?
So this plan was huge. I mean, it was the campus is transformed in a lot of ways. We are up in retention. We're up in new students. We're up in graduation rates. So all those metrics are the ones that we hit, and we were really thrilled with. We created new curriculum. We got a lot of recognition for it. We're now an Apple Distinguished School for the third time as of last week. That's kind of unheard of. We've been recognized by U.S. News & World Report as one of the most innovative colleges. And we're on the list with Caltechs and Stanfords and folks like that. So little old Lynn University is making some interesting waves out there. So what's next, though, is after we've done all this, you would think that we'd sort of take a break. And that's just not our way. So we're putting a new plan together. It's actually right now at 1 o'clock this afternoon, we finished the last meeting for that plan. And we're using a design thinking lens. And design thinking really is reaching out to your community and using empathy and trying to understand the end user's perspective as opposed to sitting over here and creating this great new plan that you hope somebody likes. So our chief information officer sent him out to Stanford. He got trained at their design thinking boot camp, and he has probably met with over 350 members of our campus community now. And we're going to expand, we're going to engage and elevate. Those are the three words we're using about what's next for Lynn, but we're holding on to this one piece, which I'm most excited about, which is to experiment and evaluate. Because if we can retain that strategic opportunism as we do, it could be a younger school and looking around the corner and seeing what's next, then we can take advantage of those opportunities that come our way. For instance, in the plan, we didn't plan for a presidential debate.
I was going to ask you about that, especially coming up. I mean, it's a year in office now, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was it like hosting the presidential debate?
So 5 years ago when we did this, that's when they actually still had presidential debates. I'm not sure what they are anymore. It was interesting, but it was really, we had built the Wold Center. Mrs. Wold was amazing to do what she did to put that on our campus and other donors. And we have always been a place where important conversations happen. So we hosted the Klein West debate, and that was fascinating. And then we thought, Florida is very important. We're a very international place. And the opportunity came up to apply. And we applied. The application was about that thick, and we waited. And then when we heard that we got down to the final 9 and 6 and 3, we knew it was probably going to be us. So that was an amazing effort on behalf of everybody on campus. Our faculty created curriculum for the whole community. I think 59 million people saw it. The whole city of Boca and the county got to have a great time with it as well. Yeah. And we punch above our weight. And we're a small school, but we can do a lot of really big things. And so that was an amazing experience, but that was not part of our plan. So we have to leave these opportunities open, and we will in the new plan too, to do some things.
You're very nimble that way.
Yeah, we have to be. Yeah, and I think that's in our Lynn DNA. But we have programs now that are running in Boulder, Colorado, programs with partners in Sao Paulo and in Kenya. And so we have a mobile environment, and the debate really allowed us to get there. The technology we had to invest to host the debate allowed us to move all of our faculty, staff, and students to an iPad, mobile, and collaborative environment. So everyone's on the same platform. And we can actually learn inside and outside the classroom, beyond Boca, beyond the borders, anywhere now.
Talk about that a little bit. The technology you invested in, being an Apple partner.
It was fascinating, actually. And sometimes opportunities beget other opportunities. And so we're members of something called the Council of Independent Colleges. And it's the 700 small schools in the United States. Apple had approached them and said, we're really interested in talking to some of your schools because that's where the liberal arts lives, and these career-oriented programs, and we believe that our technologies can match up with you. So they hosted about 30 or 40 college presidents to go out to Cupertino, and I put my hand up immediately and ran out there and heard everything that was going on. And then they said, if anyone would like to bring your teams out, bring them on out, and we'll talk about how to do this further. We had just coming out of the debate. We knew he'd made the investments, and we had been exploring other mobile and tablet technologies. But when we saw the iOS ecosystem and met with their people, probably about 3 or 4 times. It was really remarkable how engaged and committed they were to learning. And Apple's been in education for well over 30 years.
Sure.
So that led to a pilot, which we're not very good at small pilots. We did it with the entire freshman class. And the sophomores through juniors were furious that they weren't getting it, so we just rolled it out to everybody. And then when the iPad Pro came out, our friends from Apple called us and said, hey guys, you want to move from the Mini to the Pro? And we had already been thinking that. So we were the first school in the country to move there. And 2 weeks ago, Ohio State just announced that they're moving their entire campus to iPad Pro. So we're thrilled that larger schools are starting to recognize this, but we've been tinkering with this since 2013.
I remember when my daughter was upset when my son's class went to the iPad, and my daughter was upset, well, why aren't we going to it? Why does he get it and we don't get it? And
you have to phase these things in sometimes. You go as quickly as you can, but right now it's happened now, like I said, since I think 2014, all of our students and graduate students have now had the devices. And a friend from Apple, who's a wonderful person, told us, it's great that you're doing this with these devices, but wait to see what your faculty and staff and students create together with these tools. And now that we're the years into it, we're seeing just unbelievable creativity.
The one thing that I did notice is that you get involved with your staff and your students just remarkably. I noticed that you have an intern program with a lot of the local with a lot of local companies. I mean, myself included, in the resort and a lot of the local companies inside. And you look for your students to get involved with companies, to get that on the job training. What is that like? Talk a little bit about that.
It's really been since the beginning of the university, but folks like Barb Cambia, who runs our career center, and her team are amazing. I had over almost 600 internships last year running. So, we import a lot of students to Boca Raton, and we also recruit a lot of students locally. So when we do that, in many of the programs, we require them to have an internship. We want them to have that practical experience. And, the Lynn curriculum is very distinct, very particular. It's a bit of a march in some ways. You have to do belief and reason and justice and civic life courses and quantitative reasoning and your internship. We encourage students to study abroad. So we know that if you go through this experience, you're going to come out and be very well-rounded, incredibly marketable, and really have discovered a passion or two along the way. So we feel it's critical that students get out there, and sometimes they learn, that was not what I want to do with the rest of my life. And that can be just as valuable as learning what you're really passionate about.
That's the one thing I did notice about a lot of your students when they graduate. They're incredibly marketable. I mean, when I have somebody coming from Lynn, I have 2 students that graduated from you that actually came to work for us. And when I look at their resume and they come in to work for us here, I mean, I do see a difference in the work product.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to hear that. That means we're doing something right. We look at the whole continuum of Lynn experience and the portals that these students have to walk through to graduate from Lynn, whether it's the dialogues curriculum I mentioned with, say, a business degree, and you're studying abroad, and you've done your belief and reason courses, and you've maybe written or explored some things that you've never done before, and you've had your internship. You add some coding and some social entrepreneurship onto that, you're kind of a Jedi. As an undergraduate, you are outpacing some others, and we're starting to see that. Because we have such a young alumni base, it's really exciting to hear from them and to hear what they're doing and how they attribute a lot of it to the relationships. Because when you arrive at Lynn as a prospective student, you will dine with a faculty member. Every person who comes and visits has a 3-hour experience, and we deep dive into, is this the right place for you? And those are the same people who are going to write your recommendations when you leave.
Really? That's great. So what else would you like our viewers to know about Lynn University, or you personally, Kevin?
So I'm boring personally, besides the band and school. So I'll stay with Lynn. But we've got a really fascinating international business symposium coming up next week on the 15th, and we have Jessica Jackley, who is co-founder of Kiva, speaking, as well as Kevin Moffat, the Chief Digital Officer over at Office Depot. They're doing some really fascinating things with data analytics. And so that's a great opportunity, I think, for folks to come in and see our College of Business and see how we operate. Some really fascinating students and faculty members in there. Beautiful new facility. And Dr. R.T. Good is the new dean there. So this is the big launch for what's next with Lynn Business. So that's what's upcoming. Keep your ear to the ground. We'll be releasing in early 2018 our plans for what's next for Lynn. Some of them are, I think, of some national importance, possibly international too, but definitely bringing the reflection of all of the innovation that comes right down here on Military Trail in Boca Raton, right back to where we live.
Well, that's great. Well, listen, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. And
pleasure.
It's such a pleasure to have you here, and good luck with the band.
Oh, thank you. We need it.
We can't thank you enough for everything that Lynn University does for our community, and you guys are just a pillar of the community.
Well, we appreciate it. We've got a great team. We're fortunate.
Thank you for joining us on the Boca Voice. We look forward to seeing you soon. And don't forget to follow us online and on Facebook. We look forward to seeing you soon.